Hey, Armand here with everything you need to know about Jupiter in Cancer 2025 to 2026, mid 2025 to mid 2026, June 9th of 2025 out to June 30th, I believe, of 2026. Is it everything you need to know about Jupiter in Cancer? Probably not. But Jupiter tends to exaggerate a little bit. And so, get used to it. The last time Jupiter was in this sign was from mid 2013 to mid 2014 for those of you that want to make some kind of a reference point. It's not going to be the same, of course, because, well, among other things, you're, 12 years older. But you can maybe get some ideas about some things that are similar in some ways for you, and if that was a good time for you, well, that's a good thing. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you a brief overview, and then I'm going to go through each sign. You should probably watch the whole thing. I'm not going to give you this special little go and see what this sign is and type of thing, and, take the instructions or anything like that, because we're not going to spend that much time. We'll be unpacking Jupiter's trip mostly through the weekly forecast. But let's start with him getting into Cancer on the 9th of June. Now, this Cancer is his favorite sign, well, traditional astrologers would say it's his best sign. And the reason why it's his best sign is because Jupiter, the expansive principle, is towards the group, towards the clan, towards the family, right? It's not a personal, there go my notes. It's not so much personal, right? This is the King of Wands, or maybe I should say the King of Cups, King of anything that you want, but therefore the group, therefore others, right? So this is a very giving, beneficent placement for Jupiter, and that's why it is considered to be his best sign. So he gets in there on June 9th, and keep your eye. Now, that's a day, if you're watching the weekly forecast, that's a day when a lot of stuff is happening. And hold on a second, I grabbed it with my foot. Yep. And there's a lot of stuff happening on June 9th, but keep an eye on what happens that day. That you're likely to see some good Jupiter in Cancer things going on. We'll have to see. Jupiter in Cancer, it's also the Jupiter return of the United States. We're having it's probably the 25th return of Jupiter for the United States, but the United States has Jupiter in Cancer in its natal chart. So we'll sort of see what that's all about also over the course of the next year. But Jupiter gets into the sign, and the first thing that he does within a week, he squares Saturn, and then he squares Neptune. And actually, the two big aspects that he's making over the course of the year all happen within the first week. We'll have to wait very long to see what happens here. Now, Jupiter squares Saturn. Okay, now this goes back to when Jupiter met with Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, 0 degrees Aquarius back in December of 2020. Sets the tone, right? The Aquarian tone. On the one hand, very progressive, as I've said quite a bit, talking about Pluto and Aquarius. It's the whole DEI thing. It's very much like the open playing field type of thing. And on the other hand, it also is this very idealistic and somewhat abstract, principled, not necessarily thinking about individuals. And what we're doing at this time, and it's been going on, through 2024, we're evaluating. We're evaluating which sets of ideals work for us and which sets of ideals don't. It's a big deal, plays out in the collective, not very obviously. But then Jupiter squares Neptune. Now, Jupiter met with Neptune more recently. That happened back in Pisces in April of 2022. And the Jupiter-Neptune cycle is very much about collective compassion. It is very much associated with the idea of what can we do for the Neptunian folks, and they would be the migrants, they would be the people without homes, they would be the people that are lost. So, and you can use your own sense of recent history to decide how this has played out thus far, but we're reaching a square point over here, going back only just a couple of years, only going back 3 years to see, okay, where are we with that? And with Neptune in Aries now, I'm not really sure. But with Jupiter in Cancer, I think that we're going to see a little bit more opening up of the sense of compassion, a little bit more. I think both these two aspects, Jupiter to Saturn and Jupiter to Neptune, will kind of soften some of the hard angles that we've had. I don't think it's going to make things less polarized necessarily, but it will soften things a little bit in terms of our actions. And maybe we realize we've sort of gone a little bit far in one direction, and maybe we usually compensate by going too far in one direction by going a little too far in the other. And of course, if you're really watching the progress of things, we take 3 steps forward and then 3 steps backwards. And any real motion is just due to like the wobble of the earth or something like that. But at any rate, we've clearly been a little bit coldly Aquarian on, in both the left and the right and stuff like that. The planets aren't playing political parties. And we'll see a little bit less of that coldness and a little bit more softening, at least for a time. And I would say that the entire year that Jupiter is in Cancer, that will kind of hold true. Okay, that's the overview. So it's a softer, more more compassionate kind of vibe that is, you know, with any kind of luck, not necessarily we're gonna act that way, but at least we'll hear more of that kind of rhetoric, which would be kind of refreshing. Anyway, going a little bit further into the whole Jupiter and Cancer thing, I would suggest that this is a time when we'll see a lot of concerns, but in a positive kind of way about things like food supply and stuff like that. Cancerian things. It should be fairly good for real estate. And I think maybe one of the big issues that we'll have with Jupiter in Cancer is the affordability of housing, which is certainly a major issue in the United States. And it's likely to be elsewhere as well. How can we, not necessarily affordability, but availability in one sense or another of housing. All right, let's get into the signs because I know that's. Oh, I want to point out too, as soon as Jupiter gets into Cancer on the 9th, the next 2 days later, we have the Sagittarius full moon, and Sagittarius is Jupiter's home sign. So it's almost like a welcome sign lit up for Jupiter. It's like the little banner, welcome Jupiter. Um, we should really get a fairly good look at Jupiter in Cancer in the first week. So depends when you're watching this, but I don't think you have long to wait to see what this is about. Okay, let's talk about the signs. There are a couple of different ways we can look at this, and I would suggest that both ascendant and sun sign are good for this. Ascendant is probably better, but we have two things to consider. We have where the sign of Cancer is relative to your ascendant or sun, but we also have where the sign of Sagittarius is, because I'll tell you the truth. Wherever you have Sagittarius in your chart, it hasn't been a great year when Jupiter was in Gemini, but it should be a good year when Jupiter goes into Cancer. All things being equal, which they ain't. But that's kind of the way it works, right? So wherever Sagittarius is in your chart, let's start with Sagittarius. Okay, the sign of Sagittarius. You guys have had a hard time of it, whether you have Sag rising or you have a Sag sun. When Jupiter is in whatever sign Jupiter is in, you feel the effect. And Jupiter in Gemini has not perhaps been the easiest time for you. But Jupiter in Cancer should be a marked improvement as he goes into a sign of his exaltation, as we call it. It should be very good for Sag and Sag rising. All right. So the specific, it's good for you because you're a Sagittarius. So it's a sort of general, global good luck charm type of thing. It's specifically Eighth house matters, which would have to do with things like debt, reducing it, or getting a mortgage or getting a loan or something like that. So for Sagittarius, Sag rising, the last year, put it in the rearview mirror, look forward with optimism to this coming year. We should all look forward with optimism to the coming year. Let's go to the sign of Cancer. So I'm jumping around over here a little bit, but the sign of Cancer, after all, Jupiter's coming into your ascendant or sun sign, and so that's a good thing for you. That's also a general good luck charm, just as it is for Sagittarius. It's just a general, it's about you, however you want to look at it, it's about you, any area of life. It's not specific to. The sixth house from you is then the Sagittarius house from you is the sixth house, and that should be good for things like health and well-being, and it should be good for work, not necessarily career and changes like that, but it should be good at work. It should feel okay for work. So Cancer, generally pretty good year with Jupiter in your sign. It's the I want to say the get out of jail free card, but it's not really. It's more like the win a beauty contest, get $45 card. Those of you that play Monopoly. Leo. Leo, 12th house transit for you, which is good for things like spirituality. It's good. It's a great indication as a time to go on retreat. It's a good opportunity to kind of take a step back and look at the big picture of things and let things go a little bit. Take a vacation. And the fifth house, the house of creativity, is also indicated for Leo, and that's very nice, right? That's what I would say about that. It's a very nice placement for you when it comes to creativity, romance, and things like that. So this is a bang up transit for Leo as well. I would think you you go off on retreat, come back and have some fun. Go off on retreat, come back and have some fun. Virgo, 11th house, very much has to do with friendships. Don't take friendships for granted. Get new friends, get better friends, spend more time with your friends. And the fourth house is also tied into your Jupiter in Cancer transit, and that's a strong indication of good things for home and family. It's good for real estate types of things, which is generally supported by Jupiter in Cancer. So let's look at it that way. So Virgo, you take the advantage that way, and I think that it's very much about home, family, family. But also if you have any kind of real estate types of things that need to be done, this is, all things considered, this is a good time for that. Libra, this is a 10th house transit for you, and that implies career. And so just good career opportunities, particularly I think if you have Libra rising, but Libra in general, Libra sun and Libra rising, good for career opportunities and it's opportunities. Don't forget, it's opportunities. Jupiter brings opportunities, which is different from results. If I give you a bread maker and you put in all the ingredients and plug it in, and then in the morning you have bread, but if you just let it sit in the cabinet until you sell it at a garage sale, then you don't get bread. So it's an opportunity for you. So keep your eyes out for them if you're looking. If not, just good for career. The other thing that you get if you're a Libra, this is the third house transit for you. It's good for third house issues like siblings, but it's good for stuff like around the neighborhood and around the community and things like that. If you get a better commute, nobody's going to be excited to hear that, but it would probably be good, right? So that would be a consideration. Maybe get a better job with a better commute. That works. Scorpio. Scorpio ascendant, Scorpio sun. So it's a ninth house transit for you, and that has a lot to do with travel. It has to do with higher education. It has to do with, you could find a really good teacher, right? You could find the really good guru or the really good person. And this is higher stuff. This isn't like, learning basic skills. This is learning something big. That's what this is about. This is about learning big stuff, big picture things, not the little minutia. So that's one thing. The other thing for Scorpio is it's good for finances, particularly those with Scorpio ascendants. Now, this is the second house is ruled by Sagittarius, and Jupiter's in a place that he likes. So it's very good for finances. So if you've been kind of like "Nyeh" about things, take a look at how things go for the next year. It should be good for finances. Capricorn, since we've already done Sagittarius, this is a seventh house transit, so it's in your area of relationship. It's good for existing relationships. It's good for new relationships. It's also a 12th house transit for you. So it is, you find somebody nice and then you go on retreat. Or maybe it's a honeymoon. I don't know. But 12th house, the 12th house things are again highlighted here. Things having to do with spirituality, perhaps an active dream life would be something that you might look at. And you know what? And I should, if Leos are still watching, a Jupiter in a 12th house situation to you, uh, just unseen benefits, things that you haven't expected, you wouldn't expect. Aquarius, we're going into the 6th house and the 11th house. Again, good for friends, again, good for health, and again, good for work. I'm feeling strongly, Aquarius. I want to say the word service when it comes to this transit for you. You know, what you can do for others, and maybe the benefit doesn't have to accrue to you in a direct way. Hmm. A little karma yoga would not be the end of the world. Pisces, it's a 5th and 10th house transit. Very good for creativity, very good for career. Um, you guys really resonate with Jupiter as well. It should be a fun year. It's like work a lot, play a lot. Have opportunities in career, you have opportunities for fun. It's both. It's keeping both of these things cooking rather than sort of choosing between them. It's quite dynamic. You can get some stuff going with this. Again, it's a 5th house is a bit of romance. A lot of stuff, lots of stuff going on with this. This is something that you would look at and say, wow, that's a great transit. So good on you guys, Pisces. You got Saturn out of your sign pretty soon anyway. Neptune out of your sign pretty soon anyway. Neptune and Pisces wasn't all that great for you guys. I apologize for that. I thought it was going to be terrific. Um, Aries, 4th house of home, family, again, real estate, and also the 9th house of travel and finding finding your guru, or at least taking a really good course in some kind of yoga or something like that, or going traveling. Right, that would be another real 9th house type of thing for Aries. You can probably get a good amount of travel done this year, and that's always fun. Well, I like it at any rate. Home and travel. Spend some time at home, spend some time traveling. Taurus, 3rd house and 8th house. Well, look, guys, you know, at least Uranus is coming out of your sign soon. 3rd house, local matters, community, commute, uh, things that you are learning, things that are skills, things, it's a good time to increase your skill set on things. Um, And then the 8th house, well, it's good for, Taurus wants to get a loan or anything like that, but it's good for things like that. It's good for maybe you get an inheritance. You don't have to do anything for that, Taurus. You should like that. You don't. Maybe you'll get something for free from the 8th house. But it is a nice financial transit for you too. Maybe a little bit more indirectly than it is for, say, Scorpio, but it is something that would help you financially. And then finally, Gemini, it is a 2nd house transit for you, and that's good for you financially. You've had Jupiter go through your sign, and maybe you got the benefit of it, but now he's going into your 2nd house of finances, and that should certainly work. And also, the 7th house would be benefited, and that is the house of partnership. And so, if you don't make more money, Gemini, maybe your partner will. And there you go. That's another way to solve that problem, or to, not even solve the problem, to make things better. Anyway, Jupiter in Cancer, generally speaking, a nice transit, generally speaking, something to enjoy. Wherever Jupiter has rulership in your chart, for whatever house he's going into, we can expect things to be getting a little bit better, a little bit more benefit. Not bad deal for you. Not a bad deal for you. Okay, that's that. Watch the weekly forecast and we'll unpack this in a more detailed manner as we go along.